from St. Catherine South Western.
Mr. Speaker, the
Just turn
hypocrisy,
one of the mics off, please.
the hypocrisy that one hears coming from that side. The leader of opposition, who shall remain there, maintains that he codes Mr. Speaker, I will not be distracted by a member who got beaten in central Manchester, run to south Manchester to seek refuge. I ran in southwest St. Catherine all the while, win all the while, the large number of votes. So please, don't. He mentioned standing orders 75-3. Okay? And it says plainly, may. It don't say it has to be. It says may. Okay? It's 68-3 said, subject to provision of standing order number 71. A sessional select committee shall consist of not less than 6 members, including chairman, none of whom shall be minister or parliamentary secretary. All right? So you can always amend. And I came here, hold on. I came in 1980. And the only other 2 members who served here since then was Minister Chang and Mr. Bartlett. Okay? And since then, they've always always maintained, and his government, notwithstanding Standing Order 75, he approved on his government constantly. So why it's so convenient today? Hold on, man, hold on. I served on committees while you were government, and there were ministers who sat on those committees and chaired those committees. He said, notwithstanding, and you hypocrites support it then, leave it then. That's a minute. It has not been changed. No. It has not been changed.
Member.
Bruce Goliding came here.
Member, sorry.
Look here.
You're rising on a point of...
The language of hypocrites and pointing to us is unparliamentary, and I urge a member to withdraw.
Withdraw what? Withdraw. What is that withdraw? Hypocrites? Well, all right. I wouldn't say hypocrite. I say hypocritical behaviors. Hypocritical behaviors. There's no way in the standing order that opposition members must chair committee in this house. Nowhere in the world does it happen. Bruce Goliding came here, made that statement. It's not written inside of here. We are guided by this. It was not amended. It was not amended to reflect that opposition members chair committee. He made that statement. Okay? Unless it is written inside here, hypocritical statements from that side must be rejected. Don't come with that. You voted for it. You voted for it. Who? You who? Met over Mark Goliding. Look here. Don't let me go further than that.
Members. Member, are you
Mr.
through?
Speaker, Dayton, shut your mouth.
Member.
Crystal,
Member.
thing up, so you have to go want to go seek refuge. Don't talk to me. I don't run.
Member from St. Catherine South Western. Remember, you're not allowed to refer to any member by name.
Even the white one?
Member from St. Catherine Southeastern. St. Clarendon Southeastern, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to the commentary from colleagues, and I want to make it very clear that the past arrangements must be seen for what they were: political accommodations, not any constitutional obligations. And that must be very, very clear. In this democracy, our democratic architecture allows for Parliament's function to be in a manner consistent, not only with the standing order, but with the sovereign will of the people, a people who made certain decisions on September 3rd. And when they made those decisions, the decisions allowed for a composition, permit me, for the composition of Parliament, which always has at least one side having a majority, whether slim or wide. And because of the democracy, you do have conventions, but you have the flexibility as things evolve to review, restructure, and to make decisions. And I would say that the decisions made in terms of the chairmanship as they are now reflect an effective balance, where you see the PAC and the PAAC still chaired by the opposition, and those are the committees that have specific connectivity to financial accountability and fiduciary matters, while the others are more policy and legislative, and those are actually effectively chaired by the government and may lead to greater balance and efficiency. And I'm glad that the member said what he said a while ago, that it's my interpretation, and that is what is allowed in a democracy. A democracy, permit me, a democracy is not static. It is a creature, it is evolving. And as long as whatever you are effectively doing does not offend or contravene the standing order, the laws, or the Constitution, permit me. You have your opinion, and I listened. Listen to me, and then thereafter you can tell me if I'm speaking foolishness. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Speaker, as long as it does not contravene the standing order or the laws, it is the governing party, the majority in the Parliament, that has the responsibility of making decisions in how best it can see the efficiency of the committees. Now the question then is if we see this to be improved coordination and a balance, because we still have the opposition chairing two of the committees, particularly the critical ones that relate to fiduciary matters, then the question is whether or not it offends or contravenes the standing order. In my opinion, Mr. Speaker, it was noted that the member spoke to Section 75, and the country must be very clear in understanding the distinction in law and legislative interpretation between the words may and shall. And here, where it says may, that is a discretion. Discretion meaning there's no obligation. As I said before, you're talking about political accommodations. Matter of fact, what is being proposed by the opposition now is a matter of entitlement. Almost as if they believe there's a parliamentary entitlement to chair. There is none. There is none. There is none. And the other matter relates then to the issue, Mr. Speaker, of 68.3.
Member.
I want clearly to understand what the point of order is, please.
Just a minute.
Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House because there are two separate matters that are being discussed. One is about chairmanship and the other is around the membership. And in what he has
Point
said
of order,
just
please.
now,
That is complete rubbish. Listen, no, a point of order to the point of order. A point of order to that point of order.
So there are two different issues that have been raised, Mr. Speaker. And in what the member is saying, he is conflating both and confusing them. In addition, look at the dictionary. In addition, Mr. Speaker, there has been no entitlement that has
Member from Clarendon Southeastern. Member from Clarendon Southeastern. You may continue.
You know, Mr. Speaker, my submissions, are not in any way, people know, to be seen as trying to be contentious, but rather bringing clarity to the country. You can agree or you can disagree, but when you rise to say a point of order, it must have a fundamental ground as a point of order. That was not. So let me move on. I was bringing us, in my closing, back to the matter of 68.3. Now, 68.3 speaks to the select committees and all of the sessional select committees, and rightfully provides guidance to us, subject to the provisions of Standing Order 71. And I will allow the House Leader to go into further detail in how the Parliament has treated with matters of this nature for the life of the Parliament, in terms of the procedure used to ensure that you can, as a Parliament, determine whether you abide strictly by this or you call for certain procedures to allow you to have, as in this case, ministers on the committee. There is a particular procedure that can allow for it, despite the vocabulary used in 68.3. But I'm going to allow the House Leader to go into greater detail in that regard.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have heard.
What you mean, sit down? What you mean, sit down? Who? No, Mr. Speaker, my mic was on.
He didn't realize.
Member. I had asked the House Leader to speak. The reason that your mic came on is that I had turned off his mic first when the other member was speaking, and you put your mic on, so you get the go ahead. I am now asking the House Leader to speak, and then you.
You will hear. Members. No, that's the point. Allow me. I'm not going to close the debate. No. All right, so, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the members who have contributed to the debate thus far, and I am aware that there are more members who have indicated that they want to contribute. And I think as they see the direction that I'm taking, then they will understand and we can speak thereafter. But as I have gotten up a couple of things, Mr. Speaker, and I say this one to the members in general, as this is our first official business day of the Parliament. I do agree that the standing orders provides the guide, And I will ask that when people quote from the standing orders, that they read the provision in full. Because if they don't do that, they may take out a part to try and give an impression that is false. So when the leader of opposition, the member, read the provision in relation to the selection of committees, he framed it in a particular manner. It says, except as otherwise provided by these orders or by special direction of a select committee may elect a chairman from the members. He never mentioned the first area of the provision, especially the special direction of the House in which we sit, as a route through which chairmen of committees can be chosen. I will not say it was purposefully misleading, but I will ask the members to read the provisions in full, or they may give a wrong impression. The other thing that I say to all the members, especially those who've been around for longer than I have been around, there are some conventions that have been established over time. And those conventions are so well established that when the House prepares the documentation for these committees, it is actually included in the documentation. One of those conventions have to do with ministers of state, and the fact that ministers of state have sat on many a select committee, including committees in the last session on which the opposition sat and did not complain. And that is why the motions are written in a manner that says notwithstanding. And because what the member from Eastern Westmoreland said rightly, that as a small parliament, we have to look at some of the conventions that have been used to ensure that you can effectively function as a government. That is why the provision for notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 has been maintained from before I was in this parliament. In fact, from before I was born. And opposition and government, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government, in the spirit of working together, even in the last sitting, the last term of parliament, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government have worked together on this. And that is why people like the honorable member, State Minister Witter, would have chaired the Regulations Committee in the last term. That is why Member Main would have been on multiple commissions, and this opposition under the same leadership, the same leader of opposition, the same leader of opposition business raised no issue. I say that the opposition must reflect as to whether we are going to truly work together in a spirit of cooperation. I'll make two more points and then I'll indicate my intention. No, there is a fallacy that is paraded around as to whether the committees function better under opposition rule, chairmanship, which was a brief point in our history. And when I looked at the functioning of the committees in relation to how many times they met, it is very hard to discern the difference between when the opposition was in charge of the committees and when the government was in charge of the committees. In fact, with a committee like the Ethics Committee, Between 2012 and 2015, it met nine times. It met 9 times. A committee under the change during that same 3-year period between 2016 and 2020, it met 15 times. Again, what you hear the members speaking of is that it depends on the amount of work that the committee has to do. The additional point that I will raise is that there are schemes that are outlined in the standing order. The standing order has some committees that it indicates who the chairmanship is. By convention, we have always allowed the opposition to chair the Public Accounts Committee and the PAAC, and that has not changed. Additionally, when you look at the UK system, there is only one committee chaired by the opposition, and that's the Public Accounts Committee. Only one committee. And the reason for that, Mr. Speaker, is that despite what has been said by the members, committees like the Production, the Human Resources, the Economy and Production Committee, the Infrastructure Committee, are established to ensure that the policy direction of the government is being implemented through its ministries and agencies. And again, and it is not by chance that the PAC and the PAAC, remember the PAC is the committee that has Auditor General reports to, and the PAAC that always had embedded in it a strong oversight responsibility, were chaired by the opposition. So, as the member from West Central, St. James, indicated, when you look at the definition of the committees and what they're called upon to do, for you to believe that a member of the government could not effectively chair that committee, I think is a false assertion. So there are other points, Mr. Speaker, but I will say this thing. Because, Mr. Speaker, I want us to embark on this journey with a sort of sameness of purpose, appreciating that the people have selected a government, that the government is here to work with the opposition, appreciated that on every single committee, the opposition has members. What I will allow me, members. What I will do, Speaker, what I will do, because to be honest, I thought we were on, when I spoke to my opposition counterpart, even though he did indicate some misgivings in relation to the chairmanship, right? I thought that the other matters that they have raised, which especially the ones which they as government, when they were government, were accorded those privileges, I think maybe it is the moment they are utilizing. So what I will do, I will suspend the debate. I will have a discussion with the leader of opposition business so that when we come back here, hopefully we are in, hopefully hopefully we are in one accord. Additionally, as I said when I started, I urge the leader of opposition business and the leader of the opposition that things that they accorded within the past, as soon as the term before us, committees that they sat on with composition of state ministers, don't use this opportunity to grandstand, but let us work together. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the suspension of the debate, and we will continue.